It affects them a lot more. We have an ocean in between. And we've spent $200 billion more on Ukraine than NATO has spent. And they've got to equalize.
Did you talk to Xi about the Ukraine war?
Yeah.
Because China and Brazil together has a proposal to bring Russia and Ukraine to talk.
That's good. That's fine. I'm ready.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president?
How did Brazil get involved?
Brazil's involved.
This is a new one.
When are you going to talk to Lula?
Are you from Brazil?
I'm from Brazil.
That's why they're involved, I guess.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president? How do you see your relationship with Latin America and Brazil?
Great. Should be great. They need us much more than we need them. We don't need them. They need us. Everybody needs us.
It sounds like you will not proceed with additional China tariffs necessarily, depending on how talks go with President Xi. Is that correct?
What does that define that?
Well, you're asking, you pledged in the campaign potentially a 10% tariff on China, or as much as
Because of fentanyl.
Right. So I'm asking where you're.
That's only because of fentanyl. There are other things too.
Are additional.
And a very big thing is the Panama Canal. China controls the Panama Canal. What's that all about? They're not supposed to be good. When Jimmy Carter gave it, which was a terrible mistake, he didn't do it. He didn't give it to China. He gave it to Panama. And China controls the Panama Canal.
So are China tariffs?
And we're not going to allow that to happen.
Are they still on the table, or is that?
We're not going to allow that to happen.
Thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money, like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. Are they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation. Spain. You know the BRICS nation? You'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right? You guys know.
Brazil,
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying.
But Spain is not.
So it's not even a threat. In fact, since I made that statement, Biden said, well, they have us over a barrel. I said, no, we have them over a barrel. And there's no way they're going to be able to do that.
This is an executive order relating to.
Those countries, like Spain.
It's about being strong.
As a BRICS nation, yes. They'll have 100% tariff if they so much as even think about doing what they thought.
Can you explain how it
Which, and therefore they'll give it up immediately. So will China give it up.
So this is about reforming the system of hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions.
As per the Supreme Court.
Other matters. Yes, sir.
This is a big deal. Merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again.
Awesome.
Can you believe it?
Mr. President, you would say you would end the Russia-Ukraine war on your first day in office. Where do things stand right now? How do you intend?
Well, there's only half a day. I have another half a day left. We'll see. We want to get it done.
This is
Yeah,
about
thank-
creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency. known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
Is Elon Musk going to get a West Wing office?
No, he's getting an office for about 20 people that we're hiring to make sure that these get implemented. We have a problem in this country. You sign an executive order, it doesn't get done for 6 months. As an example, when we allowed the J6 hostages to go out, it might not be approved under the old days for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months. You know, they had a good ruling from the Supreme Court and it's like nothing happened. That ruling was 6 months ago, you know that. And it was like they didn't have a ruling. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
Mr. President, are you commuting the sentences of anyone who assaulted a police officer on January 6th?
Well, we're looking at 2 police officers, actually, that Washington police officers who went after an illegal, and things happened and they ended up putting them in jail. They got 5-year jail sentences. You know the case. And we're looking at that in order to give them we got to give them a break.
But is there clemency in your actions today for anyone?
Well, it would be a
who
pardon.
assaulted
That would be a pardon. The one I'm talking about would be a
Here
pardon.
you go, sir. This is
Should
an
there be punishment for the people who assaulted law enforcement officers that day?
Well, they've been in jail
Well, I will say
already.
this,
That's what-
they've been in jail for a long time already.
Right.
I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time.
I
So
agree
they've
with
already
you.
been in jail for a long time. These people have been destroyed. What they've done to these people is outrageous. There's rarely been anything like it in history, in the history of our country.
How long should you give the trust?
And even people that were aggressive, and in many cases, I believe they happen to be outside agitators, but what do I know, right? But I think they were outside agitators. There were outside agitators involved. And obviously the FBI was involved because Ray admitted the FBI was involved. Didn't he say 23 people indirectly or directly were involved? And it was then 26. That's a lot of people. Now we got to take care of these people have been treated so badly. It's never happened before. What happened in Seattle where they took over a big portion of the city? What happened in Portland where they burn down the city every day and people die? Nothing happened to anybody.
Right.
But they go after these people violently. I mean, they're still going after brand new people. They found somebody else with a picture. There's never been anything like this. And it's almost 100%. Think of this, almost 100% of the people are convicted. 100%. It's Washington, D.C. People go into a trial and they say, oh, I have a wonderful lawyer and I didn't do anything wrong. And they end up in shackles almost immediately and jail. No, we're not going to let it happen.
About Greenland, we have shown interest in buying it, but is there any other option that would satisfy you?
About what?
Greenland, instead of buying it?
Finland?
Greenland.
Oh, Greenland. Greenland is a wonderful place. We need it for international security. And I'm sure that Denmark will come along. I think it's costing them a lot of money to maintain it, to keep it. The people of Greenland are not happy with Denmark, as you know. I think they're happy with us. We had representatives, my son and representatives went up there 2 weeks ago, and they like us. So we'll see what happens. But Greenland is necessary, not for us, it's necessary for international security. You have Russian boats all over the place. You have China boats all over the place, warships. And they can't maintain it.
When are you going to be talking like
Who? I'll be meeting with President Putin. I don't know. I can't. It's being set up. So the first foreign trip typically has been with UK, but I did it with Saudi Arabia last time because they agreed to buy $450 billion worth of our product. I said, I'll do it, but you have to buy American product. And they agreed to do that.
All right.
They bought $450 billion. It was the least reported story I've ever been involved in.
And now, where are you planning to go now?
Well, I don't know. If Saudi Arabia wanted to buy another 450 or 500, we'll up it for all the inflation.
Mr. President, you say you were going
think
to
I
end
probably
the
go
war first day. How do you plan to end the Ukraine war?
Well, we're going to try and get it done as quickly as possible.
Do you want to push Israel and
It
Saudi?
should have never started. The war with Ukraine and Russia should have never started. It would have never started if I were president.
Will you push Israel and Saudi Arabia to normalize relations?
I don't think I have to push them. I think it's going to happen, but maybe not quite yet. But they'll end up being in the Accords, the Abraham Accords.
President Trump,
I think Saudi Arabia will end up being in the Abraham Accords.
This year?
Could be, but soon. No, not in a very long way. Oh, look at that! It says TikTok.
President
My,
Trump,
my, my! What is that all about?
First, we have Alaska, sir. This is an executive order relating to unleashing Alaska's potential as an energy reservoir for the entire nation.
And what about Anwar?
I believe that would be included in aspects of the
So
order.
we're opening up Anwar.
What do you guys think about the
on the
nuclear
TikTok piece, President Trump, you and your members of your.
and how open he's being about it? What's going on?
TikTok spying on Americans. What changed that you're not worried about that anymore?
Well, it depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless. Worthless. If I don't approve it, it has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless, worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half.
The TikTok
In other
CEO
words, wait, I think
Dimmed
the
for none.
US should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy. The numbers are crazy. But it's worthless if the president doesn't sign, then it's worthless. If the president does sign, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. So I think like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's one of many ideas I've
The
had.
CEO is now, did he say that he's open to that idea?
Who?
The CEO of TikTok is around.
Oh, I think you'd probably like it because he's got nothing. They really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision.
Yes,
But I
right.
could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it
Negotiator.
a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China. They make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China. Nobody ever complains about it. I don't know where they
A lot of our
complain.
farmland. Who complains about that?
TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok and I won young people up by 36%, Peter.
And that's why he likes to.
Republicans typically don't do too well with young people, but it's a different Republican Party.
Would the U.S. issue TikTok portion of TikTok then, or how would it get that 50%?
No, you take 50% of TikTok for the approval that TikTok can continue in business. And
You
you have a
know-
great partner. The U.S. would be their partner.
These people
But
don't know
the
about
U.S.
this.
essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well? in
be,
the
yeah,
US?
could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know. I think,
Chinese,
to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if you don't go 90 days, will you shut them down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this?
No, and I was getting ready to
How
say
many news
that.
conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like this,
None.
0.
Zero.
And it would be zero for the next
His handler is-
infinity. For infinity, it would be zero.
Can you please talk to President Musk gonna help implement the executive orders? I think you mentioned
No,
implementation.
Elon, no. Elon is very busy sending rocket ships up to various places with lots of satellites on them.
What is your reaction to the confirmation of Marco Rubio, and what does it mean for Latin America?
Which one?
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. You said Marco. Yeah, I think he's great. I think Marco's doing a fantastic job. I think he's going to get a lot of votes. I think he's going to be at 90% or something. I mean, I'm hearing very good. People know him. They know him in the Senate. They know he's good. He's doing a good job. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's got some very strong ideas though, Marco.
You signed the
Which one did you
TikTok
sign?
order, right? Did you sign the TikTok order?
Yeah.
Yes, that was just.
President Marco Rubio's ideas is
Just signed it.
how many did
still
you sign?
changing Venezuela, changing power. Are you still committed with Maduro leaving power in
Well,
Venezuela?
we're going to find out about that too, because we're going to probably stop buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need their oil.
Another embargo like the first term?
No, could be, but we don't want to buy, we don't have to buy their oil. We have plenty of oil for ourselves. So
President Trump,
that'll change Venezuela.
from everything.
President Trump, there was a lot of concern about this during the campaign. A question that only works today. Are you a dictator on day one?
No. I can't imagine even being called that. No, I believe in the sanctity of the vote. The Democrats didn't because they cheated like dogs, but I believe in the sanctity, and this was too big to rig. This last election was just too
Lion,
big
dog,
to
pony,
rig.
soldier, as
But,
Joe Biden would
it's
say.
the opposite.
When do you plan to speak to President Putin?
Could be very soon.
And you talked a bit about Ukraine and Russia, but how long do you think it would take to end that conflict? And
I have to speak to President Putin. We're gonna have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well.
I think he
he's
answered
trying to do
earlier.
that, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week. And now you're into 3 years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. Now, eventually, I mean, it's a big machine, so things will happen, but I think he'd be very well off to end that war. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger, they have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
It's horrible.
What did your TikTok order do, Mr. President?
Just gave me the right to sell it or close it.
Gave him that.
Essentially with TikTok, I have the right to either sell it or close it. And we'll make that determination. And we may have to get an approval from China too. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they'll approve it. And if they don't approve it, it would be somewhat of a hostile act, I think. But it's good for China if it gets approved.
Mr. President, so you're not guaranteeing that TikTok will be around after 90 days from today?
No, but it could very well be. It makes sense for it to be because it's got tremendous value. But if we create the value by approving, in other words, that approval gives it tremendous value. If that's the case, then we should be entitled to 50% as a country. You understand? You haven't heard that one before, right? That's called a joint venture. And nobody ever thought that way before. Well, I don't know. I think you have a lot of people that would be interested in TikTok with the United States as a partner.
Mr. President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. Don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
You said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. Zelensky wants to make a deal. I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope, I got along with him great, and I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, are you keeping U.S.
What do y'all think about him answering these questions so candidly and just talking freely and answering any questions?
sanctions on Russia until he makes a deal?
Well, sanctions or tariffs. I think the word tariff is much better because it keeps your dollar stronger. I think tariffs are more effective. I mean, I use sanctions on Iran. Iran was broke. When I left office, Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, none. They were flat broke. And October 7th would have never happened. And I think you all know that. It would have never happened. They had no money. Now they're rich, but they're weakened in a different way. I would say that the one attack by Israel really set them back. It really set them back. The Pagers and others. The attack on air defense was a bad attack for Iran.
What are you signing now?
It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer I call it cancer, the cancer caused by the Biden administration.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of this deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident, but I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2 states?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place is, it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead, by the way, right? Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly. So you can't have that.
Mr. President, on TikTok, sir, do you pause any decision on Chinese tariffs until you know what the resolution on TikTok will be? Are those things
No,
connected
if
at all?
China didn't approve it, we could put tariffs on China. Don't forget, China charges us tariffs and we charge them very little, except for what I did. I put a lot of, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But until I came along, China never paid 10 cents to this country. They ripped us off and they never paid anything. But like if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok and it was a good deal and China wouldn't approve it, then I think ultimately they'd approve it because it would put tariffs on China. Maybe. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that.
The range of questions that he's answering, like they're asking anything and he is answering everything. Like no matter what they throw at him, he's answering. I wonder if his handlers are sitting there holding their breath like, don't say this, don't say that.
And if we said, well, if you're not going to approve it, then that's a certain hostility and we'll put tariffs of 25, 30, 40, 50%, even 100%. And if we did that, I think they'd approve it.
President Trump, you've seen the other living presidents a couple times in the last few months. If you ever had to call on one of them for advice about anything that's going on here, which one would you call?
That's a great question. If y'all had to think about that, which one? You know, it's going to be Barack Obama. Come on, there's no other living president that is going to be even able to make a decision besides Barack Obama.
It's interesting. Well, I thought Bill Clinton was a very good politician. I don't think he was used properly. I think they disrespected him. When Hillary was running, he came back and he said, you know, you better get up to Michigan and Wisconsin. You remember that, Peter? Every house has a Trump sign on it. And they all laughed at him because the Republicans hadn't won Michigan or Wisconsin for decades, long time. And they all laughed at Bill Clinton. Like, the hell does he know? And he turned out to be right because I won both of them. And then we just won both in this election, too. We won Wisconsin and Michigan and every other swing state. We won all the swing states, all 7. They talked about 7 swing states. We won them all. So, but Bill Clinton he had a great political sense, I think.
You looked like you were having a good conversation with President Obama at President
I
Carter's
was.
funeral.
Okay, this is the answer everybody wants to know. And I have to pause it because I didn't realize I can't talk. It's not coming through. If I don't pause it, I can't talk over them.
And you'd like to know what it was? Oh. Everybody wants to know. I know, I wouldn't want to, but we were having some crazy conversations. Why do you ask a question like that? I don't think you want to know. You might not.
Tell us what you just signed.
You might be insulted.
It's an executive
Wonder if they're talking about Hillary Clinton. Y'all think he was talking about Hillary Clinton?
order relating to holding former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. This next one, sir, is a declaration of a national energy emergency.
That's a big one. You know what that allows you to do? That means you can do whatever you have to do to get out of that problem. And we do have that kind of an emergency.
President Trump, at some point, will you use your powers of the presidency to tell Americans who are concerned about drones?
Yeah, oh,
You know, what exactly
I will.
is happening? Can you tell us now?
In fact, I'd like to know because I just got here.
What
He's like, let me have a minute to sit down. But he did say he's going to tell us about the drones. That was a great question. I love the response.
I just came here. I've been here for what, 15 minutes now?
do people listening, because this is going out loud?
And I got to read this letter too, because of you, I found this letter.
I can read it for you.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know you would. Your father would too.
That's a letter from Joe Biden to Trump that he's left in his office for him to read.
But is it anything these drones? Is it anything that people need to be worried
No,
about?
I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of?
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting.
What do y'all think the drones were? You think that was China? You think that was our government? You think that we were looking for that, what do they say, nuclear weapons or something that was lost? What do y'all think the drones were? And they're not gone. They're still out there.
And with the events today and yesterday, was everything moved inside just for cold weather, or was there some kind of security?
No security.
Listen to Peter asking all the good questions. We're glad to have Peter Ducey in there. I'm pretty sure that's whose voice that is.
Because they had everything shut down to drones. You can shut that down pretty easily if you're sophisticated. They're very sophisticated, these people. No, it was just cold weather. And we made a good move because, first of all, I thought it was incredible in the Capitol today. You know why I liked it? Because I got great reviews on that speech. I got great reviews. Can you believe it? They actually were fair.
I like that indoor parade. I ain't never seen an indoor parade before. I thought that was pretty cool. I like how they facilitated that.
Maybe the fake news is changing.
Unleashing energy production.
Unleashing energy production. But I thought it was, I think having it in the Capitol is great. It's obviously, you can take care of the people you have to take care of. The city was booming. And if we would have done it outside, people would have been hurt because it was really cold. It
was 17 degrees here where I'm at. And I don't know what the wind chill factor was, but it was cold.
was looked sunny. But when you stood outside for 10 minutes, people were running back in. It was really cold and really windy. The wind brings it down a lot. So we made the right decision. You couldn't have stayed. I don't think you could have had it out. You know how cold it was today. It was, people went out for a little while just to test it. They couldn't stay out more than 10 minutes. They all came back in. So we would have had a disaster if we did that, and people would have been hurt.
I did go walk my dog, though. We took about a 40-minute walk, but I was bundled up in layers and had stuff over my face, so I didn't feel it.
The unlawful disclosure deal, is that related to the Hunter Biden situation?
Which one?
The one on unlawful disclosures by federal officials, is that related?
No, I think it's just more general than that. It's not Hunter Biden. I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family because that makes him look very guilty. I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. And I said, if I do that, it's going to make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that,
What do y'all think about him pardoning his own family? And what do y'all think about preemptive pardons where they've not been accused or charged with a crime yet? It's just like a blanket pardon. What do y'all think about that? And can y'all still hear me, or my audio still messed up?
I don't think I'd be sitting here right now because I would have shown that you're guilty. But by pardoning his brother or brothers, by pardoning all of those people that he pardoned, by pardoning J6.
What do y'all think about him pardoning Dr. Fauci? That's the one that bothers me, but what I know.
The Unselect Committee, they destroyed all of the documents. They deleted all of the information. There's no information. And a lot of the information pertains to Nancy Pelosi because she was given 100, I mean, you know this, it's on tape with her daughter. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for not taking advantage of 10,000 soldiers or 1,000. You wouldn't have you could have used 400. It was a relatively small crowd. It wasn't the crowd that was at the mall. It was a small crowd.
I think they should be able to challenge those pardons because at the very least, you should be able to say why you are giving someone a pardon. And if they've not been charged with anything, then what's the pardon for? I think at the very least, it should be challenged on those grounds.
So I was a little bit surprised that he did it because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's going to have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates for a president. But the precedent is unbelievable. Now, maybe every president that leaves office, they're going to pardon every person they ever met. So they don't have some lunatic like deranged Jack Smith, who's a total lunatic, by the way. Not a smart guy either, he's a dummy.
Oh, my.
We beat the hell out of him. And I helped my reputation.
Do you think you have to do the same thing at the end of this term?
Well, I guess now I have precedent to do it. I wouldn't want to do that. No, I think it makes you look very guilty. I think it makes Biden look very bad, very weak, and very guilty. And I mean, he pardoned everybody. How about this J6 committee? Why is he pardoning them? The reason is because if you delete and destroy documentation, everything, they have nothing because they were guilty as hell.
And here's the thing about the J6 committee. You're giving them pardons. Like he's saying, for what? What are you guilty of? What did you do? In order for you to give them a pardon, that means you think they did something illegal, something they could be charged with. And these are Congress people you're talking about. You're giving pardons to our congressmen and women. So you're telling us that you feel like they committed crimes to which you need to give them pardons. I mean, that right there, everyone needs to really be shocked at.
They rigged it. It was a rigged deal. And when you do that, they look very bad. But I was a little surprised he did it. Liz Cheney, I mean, she's a lunatic. And she lost by the greatest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress, like 40 points. The reason it was the greatest is because anybody losing that badly is going to drop out. But she's a nut job. She doesn't drop out. You know, she just keeps chugging forward. And she lost by almost 40 points. That's the biggest number anybody's ever lost by. But why would Biden do that?
Because Liz Cheney, she got into office by Republicans voting for her. And then after everything she did, she didn't have the Republicans voting for her anymore. She had a few Democrats that joined board, but the Republicans dropped her.
Pardoned her and pardoned everybody. The reason is that they destroyed documents. And if you're even in a civil case, which this wouldn't be, I mean, people go to jail for a long time for doing that. What's this one?
That's unleashing American energy, sir. It relates to easing permitting processes and other regulatory systems to ensure that we can produce energy efficiently to drive the American economy forward.
President Trump,
I hope that helps to lower electric bills because we're struggling right now.
looking around the office, we noticed some changes from the way the Biden had it set up. Can you confirm that you have added back the Diet Coke flag?
I think this, first of all, I just got here. So my people came in. They have extraordinary decorator sense, right? Let me just see some of the pictures. Oh, that's a good one. I could live with him. I could live with George Washington, I can tell you. I could live with Thomas Jefferson. I could live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Wonder if he'll be adding or removing anything. Y'all take note of what's in the room. Try to figure out if he's takes anything away or adds anything later on as he gets settled in.
Withdrawing from
What
the
is this one?
withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Now this one I'm for. A lot of people are against this, but this one I'm for. It's the WHO, the World Health Organization. Removing ourselves from them. They should not be over top of us. They should not be telling us what to do. They can give us recommendations, but for them to make mandates and us have to follow it, I think is crazy.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China with 1.4 billion people. We have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million. We were paying 500 million. Seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens. Pretty sad though, think of it. China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
What's the percentages on that? Who's math whiz? That is an insane amount. Like they pay not even a half a fraction. Like they pay 1% of what we pay. I don't know what the math is. I'm not a math whiz. That's insane. Why are we paying so much more than everyone else? And they're probably going to do what China wants before they do what we want. That's crazy.
President, you spoke about inflation today in your remarks. What actions are you taking today that will have a direct impact for Americans on their everyday costs to bring the costs down?
The biggest thing and factor for inflation is energy. They screwed up my energy policy. And then they went back to it. You know, they heard it really badly. And then they went back to it and they started drilling more. But by that time, it was too late. Many of these things that we're signing and that Doug Burgum is going to be signing and Chris Wright, who's phenomenal, you know, Energy, Department of Energy. We're going to be taking we're going to make a lot of money from energy. We have more than anybody else. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We're going to make a lot of money from tariffs. You know, European Union charges us, they have a VAT tax of 20%, but it's really much higher than that. And that's the equivalent, almost the equivalent of a tariff. And they're tough. They're very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take almost anything. And yet we take their cars and we take their farm product. We take a lot from them. So, you know, we have like a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. So we'll straighten that out with either tariffs or they have to buy our oil. The one thing they can do, our oil and gas, the one thing they can do to catch up quickly, buy our oil and gas. And they should do that.
Will you travel to China this year?
Yeah, it could be. I've had the invite.
President, should you invite
I would
you
do,
to
yeah.
come this year?
I would do.
Talking about the European Union and the tariffs, like, what do you mean when you say that European Union country like, is part of BRICS?
Then what?
BRICS.
Oh, BRICS. No, I was talking about BRICS. BRICS are 6 nations. I think it's 7 nations. And they were looking to do a number in the United States. And if they do that, they won't be happy about what's going to happen to them.
Are you considering a universal tariff, Mr. President, on all countries?
May. Yeah, but we're not ready for that yet. We may put it rapid. Because essentially all countries take advantage of the U.S. We don't make any good deals in the U.S. It's amazing in a way that we exist. We don't make good deals. We don't have any good deals. We have a deficit with almost, not all, there are a couple. I won't tell you their names because I don't want them to find out about it because they'll feel stupid.
Yes, BRICS was the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Also has other countries included. And they essentially want to start their own economic system, own currency system, and all that stuff, which would impact and hurt all the Western countries.
There are a couple of countries that, a couple of countries that actually don't make money with us. But I don't want to let you know because they'll immediately change that. We're gonna do, I tell you what, our country has an amazing economic future. I really believe it. Well, you put a universal tariff on anybody doing business in the United States because they're coming in and they're stealing our wealth, they're stealing our jobs, they're stealing our companies, they're hurting our companies. So,
And the reason that he's starting the External Revenue Service is because he's wanting to increase the tariffs on other countries and make them pay more for things they do importing into America and stuff. And then hopefully the other side of that is we will have to pay less taxes in return.
so you put a tariff on to keep them from doing it. Well, he had a lot of guys, and then they found out they didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I think they deserted him. They deserted him, the same guys. Look, I don't make pretense of smart guys, but there are a lot of smart people around, but they did desert him. They were all with him, every one of them. Now they're all with me. I don't know. It's not going to get anything from me. I don't need money. But I do want the nation to do, and they're smart people, and they have, they create a lot of jobs. And if they don't do it, China's going to do it. What they've done is they've taken industries and they've taken it away. They outsmarted China. And, we sort of like that. So, okay, they've done a great job. A lot of them, not all.
Protecting women from radical gender ideologies.
Ooh.
Back to the World Health Organization, you were during COVID. Would you see the importance of organizations like that to coordinate a global response?
Sure, I do. But not when you're being ripped off like we are by the World Health. World Health ripped us off. Everybody rips off the United States. And that's it. It's not going to happen anymore. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, one last one, sir. This is important. Thank you, President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, President. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, so somebody decided that he had answered enough questions. He's answered every question asked from a range of everything. There's no way Joe Biden has ever answered questions like this. It's been 30 minutes straight, if not longer. While he's signing executive orders, he's just, the press is giving question after question after question, and they haven't been questions that's been vetted or pre-approved. He's just answering one thing after another. All right, guys. So that was the Right Side Broadcasting Network that I was watching that from. So big thanks to them. Hopefully they don't take down my live for sharing it, but I wanted to share it with everybody because this is really what I wanted to see today is the, executive orders that he was doing. Everything else is just fun and having a good time and coming into the office, which is all great to see. And I guess that's what's coming up next is going to be the chief ball and, going to have some performances and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to come back with that or not. I might, but that's all for now. I'm going to get off here. And I just thought it was interesting seeing how he was interacting with the press, answering all the questions, just being very candid with everybody. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I wanted to share it with you. Thank you to everybody that came in. Oh, and hopefully next time I'll have this all figured out. I know nothing about it. Just want to bring this on and share. So I know there's a lot of glitches and a lot of stuff like that. I'll get that figured out. I have to talk. I have to keep talking. If I don't, it's not a reaction, and they're going to kick me off anyway. So I apologize for that. Thanks for watching.